Hey everybody, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Out of This World News. What this segment is going to do is, if you've ever been to our shows in the planetarium, before each show we have a Sky Almanac page of interesting events going on in the world of astronomy and space, historic facts, things like that. This is basically a live version of that. We'll be doing this every other Thursday. So with that, let's get right to it. And how about that? Just in time for our first piece of Out of This World news, we have titanically huge news from the world of astrobiology and the planet Venus. We have discovered phosphine on the planet Venus. Now, it doesn't sound like a big deal. What's phosphine? It is a very big deal, though. And first, we got to know a little bit more about the planet Venus itself. Venus is the planet closest in size to the Earth. It's the second planet from the sun, and it does have a runaway greenhouse effect. It has these clouds. They look like clouds here on Earth, but they cover the entire planet, creating runaway greenhouse effect. And on the surface of Venus, the temperature is 800 degrees Fahrenheit, and the pressure is similar to being 1,000 feet below the surface of the ocean. So it's very high pressure and very hot. We knew we weren't going to find anything on the surface like life that we see here on Earth. However, what the scientists began to look for is things in the clouds of Venus, because if you go up higher into the higher atmosphere of Venus, temperatures are much, much lower, similar to what we see on Earth, and the pressures are similar to what we'd see on the surface of the Earth as well. Well, this began with a scientist named Jane Greaves, Dr. Jane Greaves. She works at Cardiff University in England. She was reviewing some old radio data she had and found this signature of phosphine. Let's get into what phosphine is. Phosphine is a molecule made up of 3 hydrogen atoms and 1 phosphorus atom in a molecule. It's here on Earth, it's made in things that don't like oxygen, bacteria, things like that. You have phosphine being made in you right now. As you digest your food, the bacteria in your stomach is making phosphine. Where we see the highest concentrations of it on Earth are nasty places like swamps and bogs, things where things are decaying. The bacteria, as it breaks down these molecules for something it can eat, will then produce phosphine. Now, getting back to Venus. All right, so what Dr. Greaves found in the atmosphere was high concentrations of phosphine. Now, phosphine, when it's exposed to UV light and in the highly acidic conditions of the sulfur dioxide clouds of Venus, it'll break down very quickly. We are not saying that life has been found on Venus. As a matter of fact, this is where science really shows how the scientific method works. Dr. Greaves actually found these things in 2017, but she didn't rush out and start publishing papers and things like that. She consulted with Dr. Clara Sousa Silva of MIT, who is known as Dr. Phosphine, because she was the one who first proposed that you can find phosphine where things that don't like oxygen that are living go. They produce this, so this is something you can look at on other planets to see if something living is there. Because phosphine breaks down so quickly, that means there is a need for there to be a continual supply of new gas, or there would be hardly left at all. No known process on Earth, other than biological sources, is known to make this gas in those conditions. But before they released this paper, they began to look. Could it be volcanoes? Could it be this? Could it be that? Nothing they looked at could produce the phosphine in the huge quantities that we are seeing in Venus's atmosphere. Now, they are not ruling out that there is some chemical process or some high temperature chemical process that they are unaware of that is producing these results. But it is appropriate to say that signs strongly suggest that of life on Venus may have been found. It is not appropriate to say that life has been found, but it is good to be excited about this. And there's going to be lots more on this as more missions go to Mars, as more telescopes look at Mars for other signs of phosphine and other things as well. So this is hot off the presses. It make you scratch your head, but this is a huge breakthrough in the world of astrobiology. Okay, what we're going to do now is take a look at the nighttime sky over the next 2 weeks until our next out of this world news. Some of the things you can see in the nighttime sky. This is probably the best time of the year to go out and look at the nighttime sky because there are cool, clear conditions. Right now, I know we're dealing with the smoke from the fires on the West Coast. I believe by the time this is published, a cold front's supposed to come through and sweep a lot of that away. So we ought to be able to not deal with the haze as we're looking at things. It is also a very good time to look at the nighttime sky because we have just come up on the new moon, which is when the moon is between the Earth and the sun, which means no moonlight will be affecting your observations, or the moon will be up for just a little bit after sunset or just a little bit before sunrise. So it's a great time to look at the nighttime sky. What we're going to look at first is September 24th at 9 p.m. That time we've passed new moon, and as you can see here, the moon has come around to the evening sky, and it's forming a nice triangle with the two brightest objects in the evening sky right now. Those are Jupiter, right next to the moon, and Venus. These are in the constellation Sagittarius, the Archer. He's right over here. You can see the teapot right in this area of the sky. This is three great objects to look at with a telescope. When you look at the moon in this phase, what you want to do is look right where the light part meets the dark part. That's called the terminator. Right along that line, you can actually look down into craters. You can see mountain ridges. It's really cool to look right along there, something that Galileo did 400 years ago to prove the moon was not a perfect sphere in space. Now we're going to move over to the eastern part of the sky, and another bright planet is just clearing the horizon at 9 p.m., almost as bright as Jupiter, just a little bit brighter than Saturn in our nighttime sky. This is Mars. Big news coming up with Mars in my next Out of This World segment, because we'll be talking about Mars at opposition. So we're getting up near our close approach to Mars for the year. And you'll see also on here something called the autumn Artiids. That's a very minor meteor shower that you'd be able to see in the nighttime sky. It's only a few per hour. The best time to see that, though, would be after midnight. Of course, by then the moon will have set. Even when there aren't meteor showers going on any given night you go out to look at the nighttime sky, you can see on average 4 meteors an hour. So there's always something to see in the nighttime sky. So there you go. That's a little look at the news and notes going on in the world of astronomy. Next time we will be talking about blue moons, Mars, and new missions to the International Space Station. So join us again for that. And until then, stay tuned for more Out of This World news.